agents are helping us to better management of our space part planning, right? So we will start with a look of how agents are changing the aftermarket logistics. Then we will dive into how AI is transforming the traditional planning methods. We will walk you through a real world examples followed by a live demo. And finally, we will have some key takeaways and open the floor for the questions, right? So now this is just a lab preview. It's a completely a custom AI tailored solutions that is built for SAP, and that is a one module extended that service parts planning, right? And it's leveraging the knowledge graph, multi-agents, and SAP BTP platforms where that complete custom AI solution is built and deployed, right? So let us see in actions those things. So before we will get into the depths of the transformations, let's take a brief moment to visualize the challenge and the opportunity in the space, right? So I'm playing a 30-minute seconds video to set the context about what is the problem statement as of now we have in our automotive industry, specifically in spares part of planning, right? I hope, let me start and I hope you will see it. Okay, so this was the just the video to set the context basically, and what you just saw is not a science fictions basically. It's a reality that unfolding the 2 days, right? The faster than most of us imagine, right? How the industry is growing up, specifically in this EV world, right? Where we have hundreds of thousands of parts need to be planned before it went to the manufacturings, right? So spares parts planning has become a strategic priority for us as of now, right? It's just not a back office planning, right? Someone is sitting in the back office and they are planning those spares part in their manufacturing plants or in maybe in their offices, right? So this is something need to be planned in advance to keep continue the logistics for our digital supply chains, right? To shift the electrifications is introducing entirely basically the new product architectures, right? That requires a fresh planning approach. And meanwhile, the circular economy is escalating, right? The need of for efficient return and the reuse flows, right? Customer now expect near immediate lead times, right? So once you go to maybe if you have a car, right, or maybe you have a vehicles, right, you go to the service centers, right, and you need some service part for your vehicles, right? If that is not available, right, they will give you some times, right? And you will say why it is going to take that much of times, right? Why you guys don't have those spares parts, right? So that is something customer is not want those things to be delayed and to be in the queue, and it will give take some more time, right, before it will come to back you, right? So everyone want now that they are near the immediate lead times to get their steps and all, right? So that is the even the more complex things, right, in our digital supply chain disruptions, right? How we can become a constant threat rather than the exceptions, right? How we can make that in the reality. So now let's talk about more in terms of news, right? How the different news, right? The Bloomberg or maybe I can say IEA or Alex partner is saying about the transformations, right? So let try and to break it down to understand from our own purpose, right? What is the futures is looking like, right? So the automotive industry is undergoing massive growth, of course, right? And in the last year, the sales of electric in the last year, if you see the sales for electric vehicles surged by 55% globally, right? And plug-in hybrid vehicles now constitute one third of the market in China. If you take an examples for China, so now hybrid vehicles, right, in China taking the total market by 1/3 for them. You can see how much disruptions is going to be happen, specifically in that EV industry for to manage the spare parts planning, how much important the need is as of now in the market, right? So, but on the other side, if you see the semiconductor industry, right, that is still recovering and are not able to cater that massive demand from the manufacturing, right? If you see the how much semiconductors we have as of now, right, and how the market demand is coming up, right? So they are not able to scale on that level to give those, the chips basically, that is semiconductor chip you see in those EV vehicles, right? That are the huge set of those spare parts required, right, to make a car, right, or maybe to make a vehicles, right? So still, semiconductor industry is still recovering and try to match that need for us, right? And other than that, if you see the supply chain industry, right, it's also still fragile, right? I can say, and some firms report losses in millions, right? Because of they are not able to meet that requirement, and there are some huge disruption as required, right, to make that industry and have that continuity in your digital supply chains from the manufacturing part, from your semiconductor industry, right, to create those chips for your automobile vehicles, right? And to get the demand continuity between your supply chains from a different industry, right? To how to make that, and how in the futures we can make a better align those industry, right? So we can have uh, a supply chain without any disruptions, right? So it will keep continue, and we don't have to manage the vehicle, the spare part in the advance, right? As of now, if you see, but back offices people are doing, they are stocking more than 35% parts in their stocks, right? Because they never know when they are going to get their new components or new spare parts. They are planning in advance, and more than 35% of stocks they are trying to maybe in their manufacturing yard, right? And to get those 35% spare part in advance for their plant, right? How much the budget they need to be managed, right? So these are the steps, and that are good reported from a different source, the Bloomberg, or maybe IEA, or maybe Alex partners, right? How the disruption is going to be happen, specifically spares part planning industries, right? So now let's keep continue, and maybe as of now, let's see what are the challenges as of now we have in our traditional planning, how we are doing that, our traditional planning as of now. So first thing you will see, that is static forecasts, right? So forecasting module built on the past sale and struggling, right? The average error as of now, if you compute that, that is nearby 50%. Even with all the data are available today, if you see everything is available, right? Still we have a error that is forecasting nearby 50%. Okay. And the other important factor, that is the rigid inventory rules. So what we are doing to organize without AI planning, I already mentioned, right? What are the peoples are doing? They are carrying up 35% more inventory in their stocks, right? And but which leads to increase the storage, basically to keep that 35% stocks, right? It will increase the storage cost. It will slower the cash cycle, because if you are buying 35% more spare part, right, it need a storage, and it slower your cash cycles, right? Because you need a money, right, to buy those spare parts and all, like, and it's have inefficiency, right? You don't know which parts have a more demands, right? If you are getting 35% more spare parts, right? So which parts have a more in demand, and which parts have a medium demand, or which parts have a low demand? So everything you need to compute those things by some peoples as of now, right? How we are doing in that manufacturings, or maybe in the spare parts planning, right? And the other things, that the risk reduction is too late, right? How we are managing the delayed in the risk reductions, right? So what people say, right? Most of the organizations deduct disruptions after they have already caused damage, right? As you saw earlier, maybe take an examples for a forecast, right? And maybe the news, right? From where they are getting those spare parts, right? Maybe they have a manufacturer across the globe, right? And what are the situations for those countries and for those cities, right? So they don't know the risk, right? They have to be manually track those things, right? maybe some environment issues is there, or maybe some climate is not allowing, or maybe some disruption is there, maybe on that air side, or maybe the road side, or maybe the sea side, right? So there are the delayed. How we can better manage those things, right? Or is there someone who can manage those things in behalf of us, right? So these are the things as of now. How we are doing? We are doing everything by ourselves, and some peoples are there who are managing those things for us, right? That are the traditional plannings. How we are doing as of now, and these are the major three challenges we see as of now. What need to be automated to better seamless to manage those spares part, and there is should not be any disruption in the digital supply chains from the manufacturing side, or maybe the plant in how we are managing those spares parts and all, right? So now let's go to further to the next slide and understand more in details what the things with the AI and have that multi agents model configuration in place, and without AI, how it will looks like, right? Let's understand that part, right? First of all thing, you will see the smart matching, right? Smart matching, it's a right, you are planning some components, right? So we need to see if you go to a component, right, what is the historical sales for that component, right? And what is the rough assumptions we can make for that component? Maybe you can take a semiconductor chips, right? Maybe a tire, maybe a brakes, or maybe anything, right? Maybe a displays or anything, right? So how better you can match those components, right? And based on the historical data, how AI can predict the sales for that component, right? And make a rough assumptions regarding the sales for that component. That is also a important point in the current industry, right? How we can match the bad smart matchings for those components, right? And next thing, the adaptive demand forecast, right? How we can get that real times data driven predictions, right? Based on maybe the historical analogy or maybe the live market signals, right? And you can say that risk identifications, right? How we can do that risk identifications with the live data, right? You can predict maybe I think rather than just react, right? So instead to happen those things, how you can predict that part, right? To avoid the risk identifications, right? You have to be the reactive, right? How to predict those things, right? What is happening, right? So you have to be adaptive to get those demand forecast and all, right? Our second thing, the most important is part is the disruptions planning, right? How you can plan those things. AI dynamically optimizing that global inventory allocations because you already have historical data, right? So we are trying to combine with some agents, right? The space part agents who will do that disruptions planning for you, right? Based on maybe the forecast, based on the smart matching of your component, that is depend on your historical data. How we can plan that distributions, right? Based maybe you can say if one component have a high sales, right? If one component maybe have a very less sale, and there are some disruptions in the forecast, right, for that locations. So how intelligently we can manage that disruptions planning for the component that have a high sales that need to be there in the safety stock, more in the count or maybe more inventories, or the part that have a very less sales, right, that need to be managed not at that level that the other component we are matching, right? So we need to see the distributions planning also. We'll see all the details once we will go to the demo sections, right? How these things we are seeing as of now, how we are doing that part. The third things, the proactive procurement, right? So what we are seeing, AI agents proactively recommend the sourcing, the timelines, and the volume, how much we need to manage, right? If there are some disruption is there, right? So AI agents will tell you in the advance, right? For those components, what would be the timeline, right? Let's say take an example, if something is coming via sea, right, from one country to another country, and via sea it will take maybe a 10 days, but there are some disruption is going on, right? That the component can't be come from that route, right? Maybe the sea route. So now we need to plan those alternate route. Maybe we need to plan via roads, right? So leading time would be more, right? Because it will go from multiple countries. There are multiple licenses, multiple things are required. Maybe a delay time more, right? So the delay time is more. You have to plan that more components, right? More counts for those component, right? how proactively you can manage your procurement, right? And the last thing, maybe the predictive what if scenarios, right? So what if scenarios you also need to be managed, right? Maybe something is going on here and there for those things, right? So how you can manage those multiple conditions? We'll see that things in the real demo. How with that what if scenarios is there, right? And how we are managing those things and all, right? In on behalf of AI agents, right? So these are the AI agents. If you see, there are multiple agents, right? Maybe a demand forecast agents where you will see a weather forecast or maybe the news for that countries or for that city. One agency required for to smart match those components, right, based on the historical data. Other agents is required to do your distributions planning, right? How many component is required, which component have how much count, what would be the leading time, right, if there are some disruptions and you need to change those routes, right? And maybe the other agents that will do the predictive what if scenarios, right? If not is going to happen this, what the other alternative way we can do, right? So this is the multiple agents are come into the pictures, right, to complete some specific task, right? So let's keep continue from here. I think okay. So this is the tailored dashboard. You will see how we have developed these applications, right? So this is the custom AI solutions we are going to develop here with that clean core strategy. And we have a SAP S/4HANA Cloud, right? Where we have a ESPP, right? That means SAP Supply Chain for Extended Service Parts Planning. And with that custom AI solution that is deployed on SAP BTP frameworks, we are using SAP Joule as a human prompt, right? From where we will query those and we can ask anything to the Joule. And in the behind the scene, it's have a agentic workflow, right? Where we have created those agents. What all those agents? These are the agents we have just talked about, the smart matching agents, the demand forecast agents, the distributions planning, or maybe the what if scenarios, right? So someone need to create those agents, right? So how we are creating those agents? We have a agentic workflow in SAP. Why that agentic workflow? We are creating those agents, right? And those agents will take a input from the users. And how they will take those inputs? They will take those inputs from the SAP Joule, right? And we have a SAP business knowledge graph that, but that not is the subject for today's, right? And all those things are deployed on SAP BTP platforms, and it's have a connected with the SAP S/4HANA cloud systems, where though that complete custom AI solution is built on with those clean core strategies. Okay. Now, this is just a small architectures to give you the glimpse how the different components are coming together and making a one custom AI solutions to meet those spare part planning need for the futures. Okay. So now let's talk about first the Joule, right? Because the more important features from here, the entry point is the Joule, right? And from the Joule, we human pass the prompts, right? And what are the key components available in Joule? So Joule, if you see, there are the four patterns, the instructions pattern. One is the plan components, and we see the planning steps. We have a identify the potential risks, and we have a what if scenarios, right? If you remember these four, we already discussed in this slide, previous slide here, right? So let's talk more the individual things, right? Let's go first the plan components, right? What we can do with the plan component is just a informational instructions, right? From the Joule, you will get a query, right? And you can say, I need to plan some components, right? Or I need to get details for a specific component, right? So it's just a informational instructions that is provided from to the Joules, right? And that information can be retrieved from your SAP help documentations, right? Or it can be retrieved from a different SAP cloud applications, or this information can be retrieved from your documenting grounding, right? If you think maybe some information you need to ground for your agents, right? So this prompt is basically the information instructions to plan those components. And how we are doing, our agents are talking to the databases, and based on the databases, what is the prompt we have provided, it will go to the agent will talk to the database, and based on the prompt, it will give us the results back. Okay, it's just a informal instructions, and the informations can come from anywhere. It can came from help documentations, it can come from a different SAP cloud applications, or maybe it can come from that your document grounding information, like maybe a HR policy, a travel policy, or maybe some FAQs, right? That is something we are planning the components. The second part, how we plan those steps, right? So this is part of the navigations, right? So what we can do, you can embed joule with the SAP applications, right? How we have embedded the joule with here with our custom AI solution, right? That is come under your navigational system, the planning steps, right? And here you can do, you have a web client dashboard, right? That will interact with the applications, right? And that application may be SAP Fiori application, or maybe a cloud interactions directly. You can do a cloud applications, right? And it will understand the context, in which context you are planning those steps, right? And maybe it's have a destinations approach also, right? You are have a multiple destination in place, and you can getting the information, or maybe you are updating the information in different or the multiple source, right? The source can be multiples to get those informations, or to retrieve those informations, or maybe to give informations back to those systems back again, right? This is the planning steps, and we say in the joule it is the navigational steps. Okay. Third thing, the transactionals, right? If we are doing some things, right, we are getting some things from the database or from the backend systems, right? Or we are saving some informations, right? Maybe you can say the CRUD operations, right? Maybe create, read, or update deletes we are doing, right? That will come under the transactional interactions in Joule, right? Or maybe the last one, you can say the analytics. If you want to display the dashboard, maybe, right? Or you want to display the data in the cards, right? Maybe the bar, maybe the charts, maybe the any charts, right? This is come under the analytical section. So there are four sections in Joule, right? First one I mentioned, right? That is the plan component. This is just a informational interactions. Second thing, to do the planning steps, it's come under your navigational things, because you will do so many navigations, right? Here. Third things, maybe the transactions, where actual transactions will happen, those your CRUD operations. Or the last thing, maybe your analytical section, right? Where your analytics will come, you need to display some data in the analytics charts. Charts can be any charts based on your UI5 availability, right? What all is available in UI5, you can do those parts, right? And now let's come and do discuss about the agents, right? AI agents, what all agents we are using for our space part planning, right? So total, we have a 4 agents here. First is that weather agents. Weather agents is basically used to analyze the weather data to identify that any disruptions or maybe anything affecting our component stocks and our distributions, right? So it will work basically based on latitude and longitude coordinates for that city, right? And other agents, we have that news agents. It will give you the news for your local cities, and understand from that news, is there any disruptions is happening, right? Or maybe some protest is going on, or maybe some flood is there in that place, right? So it will based on the weather for that city, and what all the news are going on locally for that city, right? If you can understand, is there any disruptions is there or not there, right? Third agent is that of the planning agents, right? Because if something is there, right, and we need to match those components, right? So some agents should be there, right? Based on the historical data for those components, right? And based on their specifications for those components, right? How we can better manage those plannings for our components, right? So there are some planning agents are there in place. And the last agent is the what if risk analysis agent, right? To deliver those risk analysis report, right? Based on the news and the data, right? What would be the your mitigation strategy, right? We understand from weather agents and news agents, right? There are some disruptions, but how, who will provide the mitigations to us, right? So there are the what if risk analysis agents who will provide the mitigation strategy, right? How we can have the mitigations for those disruptions that is provided by the weathers and the news agents. Okay. Now, in the last slide, after that, we will move to the actual systems demo, right? The collaborative intelligence, right? So we discussed those agents individually, right? But how those agents do that collaborations, right? and they will pass those informations from one to other agents, right? So they have those collaborative SAP ecosystems, right? We have that awareness, right? With the weather and the news agents, bring that real-time visibility from the external risk. We have that efficiency, right? That the planning agents do that efficiency based on the awareness, and then we have a preferences, right? Based on the risk analysis from the agents, it will help us to anticipate and to provide the mitigation disruptions before it will impact the actual operations for our inventories, right? So this is basically a lot we talked about theory part, right? What all about risk, what all agents we are using, how we are using, what is the joule, how many components are available in joules, right? So now let's move to the systems demo and to understand more in detail. Okay. So let me move to the okay.
Ankur, can
So
we park for a minute for a question if anybody have any
sure.
question?
Yeah, sure.
So, folks, if anybody have any question, please raise your hands. I can
Sure.
unmute you. Okay. Before we
Okay.
get into a
So
demo, if you have any questions, we can do what.
yep.
So until somebody has a question, somebody raise a hand. So we were
Yep.
talking about challenges in this traditional
Yeah.
planning, right?
Yep.
So that is one of the objective. I mean, one of the the pain point that this
Yeah.
particular is getting helping us to resolve, right?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. And this
Yep.
collaborative intelligence, what you said in the last.
So see,
So
we have different agents, right? We four
ah
agents are working differently, but they have to be
okay
collaborate, right? So
okay
this is something four agents need to collaborate
ah
and do the task on behalf of us, right? So because
okay
weather information is required to news, right? And
ah
based on the weather and news, planning agents will do the planning, right?
okay
And based on the planning things, we understand from the risk analysis agents, right? If there are disruptions, how in the advance I can provide you the mitigations, right? So
okay
all those information are dependent to each other agents, right? So they have to be collaborate in each other, right? If they will work independently, we do not need that collaborations. But why we are building those number of agents, they need to collaborate by themselves. We are not guiding them, right? So they are self-independent. They know which informations need to be passed from which agents, right? And what is the end goal we need to achieve.
okay.
Correct.
Just
That is,
one question. So
yeah.
these agents are all already trained, or they will be continuously learning. How was that like?
So they are dependents. How we are doing in SAP, there are two ways to create those agents. One is the content-based agents, right? And one is the code-based
Okay.
agents. So content-based agents, basically SAP is already provided the framework to SAP, internal to SAP, right? So we can create
Mm-hmm.
those agents and choose our own foundations model. Which foundations model we thought it would be good for our use case, right? Can be a
Okay.
OpenAI foundations model from maybe the Anthropic or maybe
Uh,
the Mysterious, right? It depends on us, right? And whatever the
okay.
basic information we need to pass to create those agents, right? So
Okay.
this is how we are managing in SAP to create those content-based agents. And we SAP
Mm-hmm.
are managing those agents.
Okay.
Okay.
And
So we will see
they
those
continue.
things
Ah,
in
okay.
live.
Ah, okay, right.
Yeah.
Okay, okay.
We
So
will
once
see
again,
those things in live.
so
Go
people
ahead.
who are
So this.
listening, in case if you have any questions, feel
Yeah,
free to
yeah.
raise your hands, and
Yes.
then I can, if you're feeling any trouble in unmuting yourself, I can also. I think you should be able to unmute yourself. Okay. Uh, yeah. Yeah, you
Fine.
should be able to unmute yourselves, and you can put it. So, or you can have something, leave it on a chat,
Yep.
so you can get benefited.
Sure.
So if nothing is there, we will proceed further to look at the demo here.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay. Then let me keep continue. So this is the applications we created. Okay. This is the application. If you, I will go back to the PPT, what we were discussing about. So this is the applications we have here, right? In our SAP Joule, we have agentic and workflow in place. We have that SAP UI5 applications built on CAP. It's a CAP Node.js-based application. We already embedded the Joules and agentic frameworks there already. and that is deployed on SAP BTP framework, and we have SAP S/4HANA cloud systems as of now in the backend to get that real-time data. Okay, we will go more in the details, so it will make more sense to you guys to understand. Okay, so this is the Joule, right? You will see that is already embedding, and once I logged in, it know who I am. So it's saying, hello Ankur, how can I help you, right? So I will not take much time. So I already have some prompts. Okay, I will copy the prompts from here. So what I'm saying, right? Let's suppose I'm very lazy. I don't want to go to the inventory and ask, right, what all the component I need to plan. What I'm saying, show me all the components of the new electric vehicle variant that have not been planned in our service path planning. So I want all the components, what is there in our inventory that is already not planned. Okay. So I just entered, and if you see in our agent took our prompt and it gave me the results, right? So this is the part of planning, right? What we are doing the planning now. And if you see, based on the R prompt, it's saying there are three components that need to be planned in our service part planning, right? And by this times, we are getting three batteries informations. What is the nano silicon power battery, pulse core max, and maybe the zenith volt, right? So we got three batteries that need to be planned in a service plan inventory. Okay, maybe let's take example for first one and say, okay, let's plan the part first. So if you see, we started the planning part for nano silicon power EV1825. Okay, and you will see it here. Service parts planning AI agent is already working on this request. Okay, if I will go back to the agents, right, and I will show you in the live. So this is a component matching agent. It's working on this request. Okay, and if you see, it's created a one chat already and the status is running, right? So let's go inside this and see. Okay, what we passed from here, we need to plan the nano silicon power battery, right? And it just started that battery, and let's see what happened in the behind the scenes. So you will see, based on the user prompt, it's we have a system prompts also. We saying, give me the most similar battery component from the existing battery component, that is EV825 we selected, right? This one, EV825, right? So we are saying based on this EV25, and we need a data in the JSON's format and give me the structures, right? Against this battery, what are the matching component? So what agent is saying? So what agent did, agent took the system prompt from us, it went to the historical database, right, to see is there any matching component available against this EV850 that have a similar type of properties, right? The what agent is saying now, there are more similar battery component against this EV825 is available, that is EV815, right? Based on the key attributes such as normal capacity, nominal voltage, and all, right? So it's saying yes, there is a new component is already available against this battery that have a similar key attributes. Okay, now let's see back again, and the prompt will see what prompt is saying to us back again from agents. You are inside the planning component, and there are the component matching is successful, and against this new patching, we have a new component. We have already did the forecast based on the historical data, right? Distribution and stocking plan is also based on the our planning already forecasting. There are procurement planning is also created successfully, right? And what if risk analysis is done? If you see, right, we have four agents from here, right? We talked about, correct? These talks. So they worked collaborative in natures, and they did four things. They matched the component, they evaluated the forecast, and they projected that. They planned the distribution and the stocks for us. They did the procurement. And but what if risk analysis result is saying there is a warning, right? What is the warning? Maybe a weather, labor, or geopolitical risk forecasted in the key global ports, right? Shipping routes within the weeks, potential transport delay, and those stockouts and disruption may be expected. Okay, but we are not able to understand what is actually all about. So let's go to the planning dashboard to understand more in details. Okay, so now what agent is redirecting back us to the planning dashboard. Okay, if you see what the component we planned, that was planned for EV825, right? That was the nano silicon power we planned, right? These are the key attributes for this battery. And it's saying, agent is saying, against this EV825, we also have a matching component EV810, right? If you know from the agents, right? The new matching component, right? So it's saying we also have a new matching components that have a similar key attributes, right? It's have a cycle life for 4800 cycle, it's have a 450, right? It's type of silicon, it's type of lithium, it's have a capacity for 95 kilowatt, it's have a capacity for 100, right? It's did the procurement planning for us, correct? It's already evaluated the demand forecast, correct? If you see, it started from Q3, how the forecast will looks like. It did the distribution and stocking for us. And if you see, based on that, what if risk analysis, there are some low, high, and critical risk. If you see, in China, Shanghai, there are high risk. In India, there are low risk. And in Japan, Nagoya, there is a high risk. It is in red, right? And if you see the initial safety stocks, earlier, if you see, it was saying the contract lead times was 8 days, but now because of the high risk, it may be get extended to the 22 days. And earlier we were planning the 4800 stocks. Now we need to plan the 6200 stocks, right? So agent is calculating those things based on the historical data, right? And based on the component, and it is matching those safety stock, and it gives us the lead times. If earlier it was 6 days in Pune, India, now it approx take 19 days, right? Same goes with Nagoya and Japan also, right? So agent is determining those things. Now let's go back again to the agents and ask him some more questions, right? Maybe I can say, okay, I understood a few of the things, but I need to want more detail about this risk. Actually, what is the risk actually is? What is the disruptions, right? Maybe what city we have the description. If you see, the other agents is working on this request, right? Vertip analysis AI agent is working for my request, right? Now let's go back to this agent, Vertip risk analysis agent. If you see, right, this is again the second agent is working on my request, and I'm giving you the real-time feed, right? If you see, the agent is still working, and Joule passed the informations to the agents, and agents is working on my request, and it's going on different places to get that data, right? So now it will, yeah. So what we are saying now, check the weather condition and the news in Shanghai, China, Pune, India, and Nagoya, Japan, right? In these are the three cities from different three countries where we have a low risk and high critical risk, right? So it got that informations from the applications based on the latitude and the longitude for those cities, right? It is checking the distribution centers and the factor for the same regions, and it's saying now back to us, the Shanghai and Nagoya face moderate logistical risk due to geopolitical tensions, and the transport may be delays, while Pune experiencing minimal risk despite the recent flooding is there, right? So that is agent is predicting the risk, and it's giving us the what is the actual risk is there in those cities for those three different countries, right? So now what can we say more, right? Maybe let's go back and we have one more prompt, right? Okay, we understood there are some risk based on the vertical risk analysis agents. We need to plan the inventory in the advance for those cities, right? These are the maybe the delay times, right, or the lead times. These are the no more number of safety stocks and the units we need to plan, right? Now let go back to the agents and say, okay, we have a risk. Can you suggest me the plan for mitigations also, right? Now again, the same agent is working on my request, right? But if analysis AI agent is working on it, and if I will go back here, if you see here, right, again, my agent started to work on my request, and now it will go to the different places, right, and try to give me the mitigations for those three cities, right, where we have a high, moderate, and critical risk. Okay, and if you see the prompt, right, it's saying propose a mitigation strategy with the heading mitigation strategy, right, followed by a number of list which have a new line, and maybe the space that the prompt we passed to the agents, and how agent in understanding those prompt based on the user prompt, and it is coming with the system prompts, and it will go to the different places, and it's created the mitigation strategy for me, right? Now let's go back. Okay, same mitigation strategy we have got it here, right? It's saying increase the inventory levels at a nearby distribution center to buffer against the potential digital supply chain disruption. Explore the alternative transport routes to bypass the affected areas, right, and reduce the lead time. Other mitigation strategy, we have coordinate with the local authorities to ensure smooth logistics operations and avoid the geopolitical tension, or maybe to implement the flexible shipment schedules to accommodate the unexpected delays or change in the transport flow availability, right? It's saying if this is the mitigation strategy sufficient, or you want to adjust more, right? And before we adjust more, let's go back to the agents and see more in details what actual agent is doing, right? If you see here, agent started, it got those direct information, it decomposes the informations, it's plan those informations for us. And if you see, we are using OpenAI ChatGPT model layer, right? Agent is working on those required, and you will see there are multiple OData endpoint agents is taking from different data source, right? And it's have a different input, latitude, longitude. It is going back and through different places, right, and collecting those informations for us, right? So how agents is working, right, taking those inputs from us, planning those things, and going to that different data source and give us the mitigation strategy back, right? And now same way, let's try to check this one, right, where we got that details for the risk, right? If I will go back to see that, if you see the same way, it started, the agent started, it took the informations from us, it decomposed those informations, planned the informations, it have some document grounding informations, agent took that information, it called some OData API, right? Back and forth is doing those transactions. Once it's collect all those informations back, right, it will do that part. And at the agent, once it will get that information back and forth from multiple data sources, it will do that refinement, and end of the day it will give the result back to us, right? So it will go on multiple sources to extract those information. Information can be from your database, informations can be from that document grounding informations from your help portal, maybe your policies document, maybe your weather coordinates, or it can go to the different cloud application that is already hosted in some other place, right? It will do those back and forth by themselves and do that refinement and give the result back to us. Okay. So now we can say, okay, for as of now, the mitigation strategy, it looks like good to me. Let's update that. Okay. If you see, I accepted the mitigation strategy, and agent now is working on my request and is updating the safety stock. So if you see, component and planning and mitigations is completed successfully. It's updating the data. Now again, let's go back to the planning dashboard, and it will go and refresh the page. And if you see now, everything is green. There is no risk as of now. And if you see, contact lead time is also corrected. Safety stock is also corrected. And how agents are collaborating to each others, and you know, and doing that spare planning in advance by themselves. So we do not have to be dependent on the back office activities to plan those spare parts, right? Where we need thousands of parts and need to be planned, and that is manufacturing from different n number of countries and n number of cities, right? Agent is checking those informations on demand at that same moment, and planning those manufacturing component, or planning those manufacturing component in advance for our plants, right, before it will go to the plants. So to make sure we have a sufficient component, so our supply chains have does not have any disruptions, right? So how AI agents can boost and enhance our spare parts planning in the advance. That's it. I just want to cover by today. There are some more top informations. Maybe if you guys are interested, I can take maybe some others in maybe another sessions, right, where we can talk about much more in the details how agents is taking those informations, right? How agents doing those plannings, reasonings, right? Under the back, right? As of now, we will see we are passing those prompts from Jules, right? And you got to know there are some agents, right, who are doing that part for us. But how agents is doing, right? How many tokens agent is calculating, right? And how agents is correctly giving that information back to us, right? How many information are required, how agents actually work, right? In that multimodal model agents where multiple agents are required, how they are collaborating to each other, right? How we are getting the data from different source of systems, right? So maybe those details, technical details, some other times maybe we can share to you guys if you want to create your own agents. I think in Q3 Julie Studio will come up, right? Where you will see multiple AI agents are created by the SAP as a customers. Maybe you can create also your own agents, how agents actually works in that real-time scenarios and to make your life easy. So that is to just give you the glimpse about the AI agents, how those multi-agents work together in the collaborative natures and complete the task on behalf of us. That's it. Satish, I just want to cover
Okay, great. Hey,
by
this
these
one,
sessions.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, go
amazing.
ahead.
So, I mean, really, thank you. The final screen should have been the first screen, I think. Because
Yeah,
uh, coming from a planning background,
yeah,
generally, uh, it was a very it was not so interactive, right? When you work with SAP in terms of that, you have
yeah,
to go to multiple screens.
yeah,
I mean, basically, when you do an MRP planning, or if you
yeah.
want to identify what are the risks. So one
Yes,
thing I have few questions, but before
sure.
that, I will ask the people on the call also who are all listening.
Yep.
Folks, please feel free to raise your hands and go for the questions. This is a great opportunity, and I think these are all very disruptive. What we see,
Yes.
I mean, when we experience it, it will be entirely different. And but surely, still, if anybody is going to raise your hands, I'm going to park it until I don't want to waste your time. We have 5 more minutes. So, see, we were considering 3, 4 agents which are collaborating and giving it,
Yeah.
right? So,
Yes.
so that is because of the collaborative intelligence. And if I
Yep.
want to add an additional 2 or 3 more parameters,
Hmm.
you know, so that is also flexible, I guess,
Yes,
right?
that is very, yeah, that is flexible. Or
Okay.
maybe
See,
tomorrow you
uh,
want to give more grounding informations also.
correct, correct,
You
correct.
can give at that same moment. So agents are dynamic in nature.
Correct,
Based
correct.
on the current strategy or based on the current
Uh,
information that is available to agents, agent will take
uh,
those. So
One
that
more
is
thing,
agentic framework, right? It's
agentic
do not
framework.
have a static plan. They
Okay,
have a dynamic plan. They take a decision by themselves.
okay.
They are not
So,
dependent on human.
correct. So one thing I always think, like,
Yep.
see today, I mean, we are all using it for multiple purposes, right? All
Yeah.
this AI based acting. But tomorrow, the output what I have received in this, if I wanted to, how do I evaluate the consistency, or how do we
Mm.
evaluate, okay, what system has given is right or
Yeah.
wrong, or what are the
Yeah.
checkpoints that
Yeah.
this
That's
gives us a
what.
reference?
Yeah. That's what we are coming in the advanced level. There are a
Okay.
human interruptions also there. So
Uh-huh.
before it will update the actual inventory, right? So there is a
Uh,
human approval required.
okay. Because
Yeah.
why I tell you
Yeah,
this thing
that
is
is a
that,
very important point.
correct,
Before it will make the decisions by themselves, there are
correct.
someone who will confirm that. Yep.
So at least I mean, it has to say
Correct.
these are the five
Yes. Yes.
parameters that we have looked across.
Yes.
This is the input and this is the output.
Correct.
This is what
Correct.
the final
Yes.
findings out of is, and that's why
Absolutely agree,
I
Satish.
had made this one,
Yeah.
correct?
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely agree. Yep. Yep.
Because whenever I see something related to
Hmm.
this, especially on these business applications,
Yeah. Yeah.
because even a small change.
Hmm.
any small mistake, a very fractional error can also cost very heavy
Yeah.
impact, and those impacts can be in multiple ways. It can be in economic loss, or it can be
Yeah.
lead time loss, procurement. Sometimes that bad decision or bad fitments can even be very,
Yeah.
very causes a very heavy damages. So I was just
Yes.
thinking, how
Correct.
do we
Yeah. Yeah.
evaluate it,
Yeah.
right?
No, in agents we can add that human approval also.
Okay, right.
When we
Okay,
take
somebody has
that
to.
confirmations, yeah, yeah, someone can
Okay.
verify those informations and take a decision.
Okay, 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 okay,
Yeah,
okay.
it should be there actually. I don't want to
Uh,
go on that level to make
Correct.
that
No,
much
no, no, no. I
detail.
was just asking.
I thought maybe
And
start with the very basic, right? So
correct,
people
correct. No,
can
no,
go
this
really.
is good.
Yeah, yeah.
And how far is this ready for us for a usage point of view? Like this
Yeah, so
Joule
it's
and other
a
internal?
custom AI solution actually. We are building
Okay.
and we are promoting it to all those automotive industries, right?
Uh-huh.
So multiple sessions we are giving because it's a custom AI solutions, right? It can
Correct,
be
correct.
tweaked according to the customers or the partners, right? How they want to be. It's
Correct,
completely a
correct,
custom
correct.
solution. Maybe tomorrow they want to add more components, right? Or tomorrow they
Mm-hmm.
want to take a more prompts, right, to make the actual final
Mm-hmm.
decisions. Or maybe they
Mm-hmm.
want a more human interventions, right? We can tweak those. It's a
Okay.
completely custom and it's
Uh,
specifically designed for the customers need. It's not a
okay.
maybe a general framework actually. It's not a general. It's a customized
Okay.
use case
So
for the customers.
if I understand this framework,
Yeah.
what we have
Yeah.
taken for a spare parts planning,
Yes. Yes.
correct.
Yeah.
So the same kind of thing can also be applied on our regular S4 HANA planning
Yeah,
areas also,
so
right?
in Q3, end of Q3, there is a Joule Studio is coming for the customers and
Okay.
partners, right? Where
Okay.
customers can leverage those agents by themselves and they
Uh-huh.
can create their own agents also.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in
So this,
future, people
yeah, yeah,
people
yeah.
may not be creating ABAP programs. They should be
No.
creating
Yeah,
their own
yeah, correct,
agents.
correct, 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 correct. That
Right?
is true. That is true, Satish. Yes.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
That is coming live actually for the customer
that's
and
what I
partners very
mean.
soon.
Correct, correct. I mean, people. I mean, we were discussing sometime in the SAP Insight Track
Yeah,
and other places also.
yeah,
What will be the role of these things? And but I
yeah,
see, yes, yes. If this Studio Joule AI Studio is
yeah,
released,
yeah.
then people will be able. I mean, the next set of offerings will be on this side, I guess.
Yes, yes,
Right?
yes,
Okay,
correct.
right. Okay.
Yeah. Hmm.
Thank you, guys, and really, these use case is amazing. But like to see how many of people are going to utilize this or equivalent
Yeah,
to this or
correct.
getting developed, right?
Correct,
Because
correct. Yes.
these are still a protos, but I assume that what is important is this is just an example out of what we are
Yeah,
trying to do,
correct.
and like this, any many other things can be developed with an AI capability to support the business functions,
Yeah.
right? Okay. So we will
Okay.
take a minute more.
Yep.
So people who are on the call, please feel free to raise your hands if you have a question. So this will be a last round across to ask. Um, if not, we are at 9 p.m. We are ready to close this. And if you don't have much questions, then only thing I wanted to tell you is like we are on the Let's Talk SAP. This is a 70-second episode given by Ankur Kumar, uh, the AI developer. Very great session, and he has been always supportive to get onboarded on this and share the knowledge and whatever he has acquired or is getting working across. Thank you, Ankur, once again. We'll be very happy to have you in some other day on a
Mhm.
different topic.
Thank you, teams, for listening to
Thank you.
me. If there are any
Thank you all.
questions, feel free to
Yeah,
ping me. Take
correct.
care.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you all. Thank you very
Thank you.
much. See you
Bye.
next week on the episode 73 on Let's Talk SAP. Thank you, everybody. Signing off here. See you next